But now let's get off into it though, because what I'm seeing is, Israel attacked Iran. They claim that they was developing weapons of mass destruction. We've heard this before about their neighbor. So they attacked specific certain sites and facilities, but they killed a lot of people, killed leaders and stuff like that. So this is what happened. And in retaliation, Iran launched this barrage of hypersonic missiles and other deadly aerial assaults on Israel. And yeah, Iron Dome is having issues being able to defend against these hypersonic missiles, and it's looking pretty crazy, right? So America comes in and say, hey, Israel's our ally. We got to protect our allies. America comes in, Trump sends in an airstrike, and they target this specific, quote-unquote, nuclear facilities. And it was a smart move on Trump's end. I know people might say, hey, Jay, what you talking about? No, real talk, man, since he's trying to look like peacemaker, if I come through and I neutralize what my allies consider a threat, I should have every right to tell y'all, hey, chill out. I went over there and took care of it. And I know y'all mad, but hey, I need y'all to chill out too, because I'm telling them to chill out. So it's a good way to try to play both sides. But there's reports that those air raids didn't do the damage. Excuse me, didn't do the damage that is being reported by Mr. Trump. And there's several international news outlets that are reporting the same thing. And there's a term that the CIA used back when they did the coup and had placed the Shah in charge of Iran, and when he was overthrown by the people, and he had the whole, Islamic revolution in Iran, and Sharia law and all that came into play. The CIA had a term for that. They call it blowback. Like, when you do certain things, certain countries or whatever, in an attempt to try to, either control, or you got interest there, you want to, America loves to say we want to protect our interests. You got your so-called interest there. You do something in the country to control or trick or dismantle or overthrow their government in any kind of way, they got every right to be upset with you for that. But the thing about it is, that being done way back then, Iran has never attacked the United States. On no kind of level, they can't say that Iran never did that, even though it was like they owe you one, you know what I mean? But that stuff being done, this country's just been sitting there in, isolation, low-key. They got their few allies that work with them. China already said, hey, we will get involved. Russia said, hey, we will get involved. North Korea said, hey, we will get involved. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, as you're going to see in the videos that I'm going to be playing, you got a lot of people advocating for them developing their own nuclear weapon at this point out of the position of desperation. You guys attacked us for absolutely nothing. Nobody in the international community supported the claims that Netanyahu was making. As a matter of fact, other intelligence around the world spoke opposite. What's her name? Tulsi Gilbert? She said, no, we have no evidence, no proof of this being in a position or close to developing a nuclear weapon or blah, blah, And nonetheless, America did what they did. And Candace Owens was saying that America acts like a puppet for Israel. They commit atrocities, and then America comes in, swoops in, and try to, okay, we know they did that, but wait a minute, man, wait a minute. People sick of that, man. So, without further ado, let's get off into this. Some of these videos I done put aside for the folk, and we're gonna start off with the same one we started off with last time, because I can't stop hearing this. I can't hear this enough, man. I really can't, because it's like this dude basically, this is before 9/11, I believe. He stitched the whole thing out, man. So, what's my man's name? General Wesley Clark. Let's listen to him again.
9/11, I went through the Pentagon and I saw Secretary Rumsfeld, and one of the generals called me and he said, "Sir, you got to come in and talk to me a second." I said, "Well, you're too busy." He said, No. He says, "We've made the decision. We're going to war with Iraq." I said, "We're going to war with Iraq? Why?" He said, "I don't know." He said, "I guess."
Once again, notice the laughter. People thought it was funny. You were laughing about getting ready to go to war and totally destabilize and destroy a country, a sovereign nation, destroys its sovereignty, murders almost 1 million, or for all we know, over 1 million of its citizens, displacement, destroys their government and their military and all that. And the people are laughing about it. Man, I'm telling you, the warmongers, man.
They don't know what else to do. I said, "Well, did they find some information connecting Saddam to Al-Qaeda?" He said, No. He says, "There's nothing new that way. They just made the decision to go to war with Iraq." He said, "I guess it's like we don't know what to do about terrorists, but we got a good military and we can take down governments." So I came back to see him a few weeks later, and by that time we were bombing in Afghanistan. I said, "Are we still going to war with Iraq?" And he said, "Oh, it's worse than that." He said, "I just got this down from upstairs," meaning the Secretary of Defense's office today, and he said, "This is a memo that describes how we're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq and then
7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq. Let's listen to the rest of the list.
Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off Iran." I said, "Is it classified?" He said, "Yeah."
Finishing off with Iran. Libya, Syria, Somalia, Iraq. Yeah, they pretty much did what they said they was going to do, right?
"Yes, sir." I said, "Well, don't show it to me."
Now, I want y'all to pay close attention to what you are about to hear. I know you all remember good old GW. That's a joke, son. We remember good old GW, right? Yeah, man, let's do some deja vu right quick, because sometimes deja vu, it hits certain nerves for people. Let's take a listen.
The majority of the American people trusted the president, and why shouldn't they? He had spent the better part of the last year giving them every reason why we should.
Look at old Dickie standing behind him. That dude, man, him and Henry Kissinger, George G.W., man, these dudes, they all supposed to be in somebody's prison.
Invade Iraq.
Saddam Hussein has gone to elaborate lengths, spent enormous sums, taken great risks to build and keep weapons of mass destruction.
Saddam Hussein is determined to get his hands on a nuclear bomb.
Nuclear weapon.
You dumb son of a bitch! No!
This dude, man, oh, man. Snowman Powell, man, that dude.
Nuclear weapon. Nuclear weapon?
Active chemical munitions bunkers, mobile production facilities.
We know he's got chemical weapons. He's got them. He's got them. He's got them.
You've probably heard.
Now, I heard GW brag and go on and on about Saddam having weapons of mass destruction, weapons of mass destruction, weapons of mass destruction. I was proving the man had no ties to Al-Qaeda, and then, of course, we all know they went in and found nothing. But a whole lot of Americans lost their lives, came back with all kinds of crazy injuries, and, you know, you had the Gulf syndromes and all these other things that took place, man. I had brothers that was over there. I ain't gonna say no names, but I had my partners that told me crazy stories about being over there. But let's take a listen to Netanyahu.
Iran has never given up its quest for nuclear weapons and the missiles to deliver them.
That's because Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has been saying this for more than 30 years.
30 years. Even GW didn't do it that long. 33 years this dude been saying that there's weapons of mass destruction, weapons of mass destruction, weapons of mass destruction, nuclear weapon. Iran has a nuclear weapon. Iran has a nuclear weapon.
Claiming Iran is close to having
Nuclear weapons. Nuclear weapons. Nuclear weapons. Atomic bombs.
In 1992, as a member of parliament, Netanyahu addresses the Knesset. He says, "Within 3 to 5 years, we can assume that Iran will become autonomous in its ability to develop and produce a nuclear bomb."
Look how black his hair is. I've still been saying this for 30 years, bro. That's a lifetime. Come on now, 30 years, that's enough time for a child to grow all the way fully into adulthood. 33 years in particular, and that's a full adult. So that's a lifetime. I'm just saying.
3 years later, in his book Fighting Terrorism, he repeats the same time frame, 3 to 5 years.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Fast forward to 2002. Netanyahu testifies before a U.S. congressional committee actively calling for the invasion of Iraq.
Are there any other nations that you would recommend that the United States launch preemptive attacks upon at this point?
The two nations that are vying, competing with each other, who will be the first to achieve nuclear weapons, is Iraq and Iran.
Iraq and Iran. So is Candace Owens right? Is America the military arm of Israel, of the Israeli people? I mean, good question, but it seems like it's an easy to answer one. You know, they was involved with what went on in Libya too. You know, there was a cooperation there, and same thing in Syria, Lebanon. You know, same thing. Is America the military arm of Israel? Is Israel the battleship of the United States in that part of the world? As old Netanyahu has been quoted to say. Let's get back into it.
The invasion happens months later. No weapons of mass destruction are found in Iraq.
No weapons of mass destruction are found in Iraq. None, period. End of story.
You dumb son of a bitch!
You did topple the nation and destroyed a government, a sovereign nation, invaded a sovereign nation who has never attacked the United States.
You dumb son of a bitch!
How is this okay? And it's crazy because everybody comes out and speaks out against it and said it was a mistake and it was wrong and we should have never done it. And but look at what's getting ready to go down now, though. You know already, yeah. And they retaliated. You know, they bombed some American bases over there. There's plenty of American bases all over the world. You know, like what is it, 90-something bases? Probably more. You understand? Well, these are the times. These be the beginning of the end of most empires when they spread their military out like that thin, and they're not recruiting as much military as they're spreading out, and they're taking on all kinds of debt, and there's all kinds of corruption in the government, and the people are unresting and in the streets and protesting. This is all the same things that went on in Rome. There are protests all over the United States right now: New York, Philadelphia, Los Angeles. Let's get back to it.
This is a fragment of a 2009 U.S. State Department cable released by WikiLeaks. Netanyahu tells members of Congress that Iran is 1 or 2 years away from being capable of developing nuclear weapons.
They're online.
It's 2012, and Netanyahu is holding up his infamous cartoon bomb at the UN General Assembly.
By next spring, at most by next summer, at current enrichment rates, they will have finished the medium enrichment.
You dumb son of a bitch!
Who drew that? Did your granddaughter or somebody draw it? Look at that. Look at the graph he using, man. He got this cartoon bomb. And the crazy part is the people are really going to listen to this. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, are y'all serious? This is crazy.
And move on to the final stage. From there, it's only a few months, possibly a few weeks, before they get enough enriched uranium for the first bomb.
And now, 33 years after Netanyahu's first so-called imminent warning, Israel attacks Iran.
And if not stopped,
a country who has never attacked them. Ain't that something? That's weird how that goes, right? You know, people, create incidents, the blowing up of the Lusitania and the Gulf of Cuba or whatever, and the Battle of Lake Takeoff in Vietnam, kicking off all these incidents, little incidents. Wait a little shenanigans.
Iran could produce a nuclear weapon in a very short time. It could be a year, it could be within a few months, less than a year.
That's despite the US Director of National Intelligence saying Iran isn't building a nuclear weapon months earlier.
Iran lied.
But for Netanyahu,
Big time.
the slogan has been the same for decades.
Now, American military intelligence, the top lady appointed by Trump, said, nah, man. Nah, it's not going down like that, so forth and so on. And don't get me wrong, the CIA is probably saying different, but the CIA often, CIA. I'm going to start using that when I say somebody's lying. Man, why you CIA-ing me, dog? What you talking about? Either lying or you watching or you spying or something. Why you CIA-ing me, dude? It's just like, hey, I'm saying, dude, the American military intelligence said no, and somehow y'all end up bombing anyway? Very interesting.
Decades. Dmitry Medvedenko, Al Jazeera.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.
Six days into war, and Iran has now done what many feared, crossed the hypersonic threshold. Tehran launched its first confirmed barrage of Fatah-1 hypersonic missiles, with Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei declaring that the battle begins. For the first time...
Now look what y'all done went and did. One thing about picking on a nation that ain't invaded nobody, that's sitting there by themselves, when they come out fighting, they usually surprise everybody with how much damage they do. And everyone listening to my voice know that this has been true throughout history. Picking on somebody that don't matter. This is the ancient nation of Persia, man. You know what I mean? Who they done invaded? Who they done attacked? Who they done did something to? Who they done annexed land from? What civilians are they dropping bombs on? What open air prison do they got? You feel me? But my mom used to always say, don't go messing with nobody that don't mess with nobody.
Time in decades, Israel's missile defense might not be enough. The Fatah-1 is fast and brutal. A solid fuel, precision-guided missile with a range of 1,400 kilometers. It hits Mach 13 to 15 in its terminal phase, nearly 18,000 kilometers per hour. Unlike traditional ballistic missiles, it doesn't fall back to Earth. It maneuvers and changes direction mid-flight. According to the IRGC, the missile successfully breached multiple Israeli defense layers in the 11th wave of Operation True Promise. Its nickname in Tehran is the Israel Striker.
The Israel Striker. Don't just leave me alone. Why you want to go picking on people? Why you want to go messing with people, man? Leave people the fuck alone.
Israel's Iron Dome, David's Sling, Arrow 2 and Arrow 3 form one of the world's most advanced multi-tiered air defense networks. They've stopped thousands of rockets from Hamas, Hezbollah, even previous Iranian salvos. But hypersonic weapons change the game. Hypersonic missiles don't follow predictable arcs. Their speeds give defenders less than 60 seconds to react, and their maneuverability makes
They are very hard to defend against. From what I understand, America's air defense tests have been failing when dealing with exercises, dealing with hypersonic weapons. Just like Rome, most countries don't really care about the treachery or the infamous underhanded undermining of other nations by their government. They don't care till something blows up at home.
Intercept calculations nearly useless. But Israel doesn't have those interceptors, and neither does anybody else. The Fatah one wasn't a prototype, but it is operational. According to Iranian officials, dozens of Fatah missiles were already deployed during the October 2024 barrage, and many more are ready. This time, they've reportedly hit central Israel, Haifa, Tel Aviv, igniting fires in civilian zones and damaging critical infrastructure. All of this while Israeli systems scramble to respond. One missile strike tore through parking lots, and another triggered explosions near Haifa's fuel depots. Remember, this is from a weapon that most Western analysts weren't even sure that Iran would use, and now it is out of the box.
Just like that. Just like that. Hell yeah, man. I mean, what do you expect to happen? Support this man's channel, man.
Hello, I'm CJ Wellerman,
trying to come
and
with
in
some
this
information.
episode, we reveal how Trump's missile strikes against Iran have not only completely backfired, but also brought Israel to the brink of extinction. But first, please remember to like and subscribe to our show. Now let's get into it. After Iran fired a salvo of ballistic missiles at one of the most fortified US military bases in the world, and only after Tehran warned the strikes were coming in retaliation for the US bombing of Iranian nuclear sites over the weekend, Trump took to social media on Monday to announce a ceasefire had been reached between the United States, Iran, and Israel, even though no official ceasefire actually exists. Here's Israel bombing Tehran 20 minutes after Trump's so-called ceasefire went into effect. This online meme perfectly captures the stupid logic that sits within Trump's buffoonish brain. Iran, after being attacked unprovoked, is suddenly not going to grant Israel or the United States the luxury of unilaterally defining the terms of peace. And if Trump knew anything about Korea, Vietnam, Iraq, and Afghanistan, then he would know that wars rarely go the way the Americans think they will. The enemy gets a vote as well.
Just like that. Just like that. You go walking in thinking it's going to go just like you think it's going to. Great Britain thought that when they went into Afghanistan, too. You know, the sun doesn't set on the Empire of Britain. Do some research on how that went for them. It's a book called Afghanistan, The Graveyard of Empires. Check it out. It'll tell you, it'll break down how these things tend to go. But real talk, it done went down now. What make you think you're going to be able to decide how we going to come into peace? I was explaining the snowball theory to my beloved. If when the pebble falls down in the cartoon and then rolls into the snow and turns into when you kick off a beef or you kick off a issue with someone, you can't control the snowball. Once the snowball starts rolling and builds up momentum, it's going to destroy everything that's in its way until it smashes into something and does some damage. The whole time it's rolling, it's picking up more momentum. You can't control the snowball. Once you kick it off, what makes you think you're going to decide exactly how it's going to go? Yeah, I'm just going, okay.
هدف مشروع ایران هستند. آمریکا با این اقدامی که انجام داد علیه ایران و حریم هوایی ایران را شکست و جنایت علیه ایران انجام داد دیگه جایی در منطقه غرب آسیا نداره. آقای رئیس جمهور آمریکا شما شروع کردید و ما تمومش خواهیم کرد.
Israel has absolutely zero desire to curtail its genocidal and homicidal activities in the region. It needs perpetual war to keep its enemies in a state of chaos, and it must continue to dispossess, displace, and kill in order to keep its Greater Israel project alive and well. We are talking about Israel, a criminal enterprise that doesn't even know what a ceasefire means.
Man, they gonna play this little song in a minute. Please, everybody, turn it up and listen. I've heard it a couple of times. Just turn it up and listen and pay attention to the screen. It's gonna get interesting.
Having committed at least 962 ceasefire violations in the first phase of its ceasefire agreement with Hamas in Gaza, and have
breaking all of their treaties, ceasefire treaties. Does that sound familiar? How many treaties did the United States break with the so-called Native Americans? Israel's buddy, right? Israel is America's little homie, right? Colonial type tactics in Israel, right? Annexing and taking land. Apartheid type government, kind of like the one America supported in South Africa. Yeah, these are interesting facts, ladies and gentlemen.
Having also committed 2,740 ceasefire violations against Lebanon. Hezbollah mistakenly took Israel on its word, and now Hezbollah is gone. To trust the Zionist regime is to put your life in immediate and direct danger. There's just no bargaining with thieves.
Israel, as soon as we made the deal, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs, the likes of which I've never seen before. The biggest load that we've seen. I'm not happy with Israel. You know, when I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because the one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that.
You dumb son of a bitch!
You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing. Do you understand that?
You dumb son of a bitch!
And while Iran may seek permanent peace with the United States, it knows that it can no longer coexist with Israel. Even though the two countries and the US have cooperated together in the past, with Israel arming Iran during the 1980s and Iran helping the US invade Iraq and Afghanistan in the early 2000s. But today, after unprovoked Israeli and American attacks, there's no going back to this past, and certainly not while the Iranian regime smells Zionist blood in the water. Israel is now cloaked in the stench of its inevitable defeat. You see, Tehran knows that the Zionist regime is running desperately low of interceptor missiles for its overly hyped air defense system. Compounding Israeli woes is the fact that Iranian ballistic and hypersonic missiles have completely overwhelmed Iron Dome, leading to unprecedented and widespread destruction throughout Israel's major cities, from Tel Aviv to Haifa to Beersheba. Israelis are finally getting a taste of their own medicine.
Yeah, this is the song I was talking about.
But now you're getting hit. Iranian missiles have your entire skyline lit, and you cry victim and say you didn't start this, but the whole world sees that your lies are
Iron Dome.
Oh, Lord have mercy. I ain't laughing at the loss of life. Don't get me twisted. I don't know if anybody lose their lives as in dying in any wars. I'm not laughing at that. I'm laughing at the song. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the words was dead ass. They was on point. You would not have picked on somebody. Did you see those? Did you see them missiles?
Dome's failures, along with its dwindling supply of interceptor missiles, is why the Iranian regime now sees Israel as a weakened and vulnerable foe. And whereas Israel has only days or weeks of ammunition, the Iranian military has enough ammo to rain waves of missiles down on Tel Aviv every day for 6 consecutive months, and that's without Chinese or Russian assistance.
That's without China or Russia's assistance. They're capable of doing that kind of damage. No help from China or Russia, who will step in and help them. Do understand that. That's what these big nuclear powerful countries do. They get involved in proxy wars. So you can't do too much against a nuclear capable nation, because if they get to a point where they feel like their back is against the wall. Everybody know, hey, they can hit you with a nuke. They can, that's why, as weak as everybody call North Korea, and as much as they make fun of North Korea and everything, North Korea is nuclear. They nuclear capable. You don't see America trying to do them like they trying to. You ain't never seen America like hit them like they doing like the same thing they doing in Iran, same thing they did in Ukraine. You don't see that going on down there, trying to arm their enemies and let's do this. They have a stalemate with them, going all the way back to the Korean War, bro. Come on, man. Let's keep it 400.
واقعا یک حقیقتا یک برهه حساسی رو ما داریم طی می‌کنیم. شما خودتون دارید ببینید که عملیات برادران شما در هوافضا قطع نمیشه و آسایش رو از صهیونیست گرفته. ولی الحمدلله ما دیدیم که بمباران‌ها و هر چی روزها می‌گذرد انسجام مردم بیشتر میشه. این یک عنایت الهی هست.
More concerning for Israel is that American and Israeli leaders concede they don't know if Trump's airstrikes successfully knocked out Iran's stockpile of near-bomb-grade nuclear material. These fears were compounded by independent assessments which found zero damage to critical infrastructure at Iran's nuclear sites. But even more ominous for the Jewish state is Russia's prediction that weapons-grade uranium enrichment will continue and that many other states are now willing and able to supply Iran with its nuclear needs.
That's right.
That's right. By allowing Israel to bomb Tehran, Trump has pushed the Iranian regime to go nuclear. It has no choice but to pursue the...
This is what the CIA referred to as blowback. You try a dirty trick, you try something sneaky and dirty and nasty, and not only did it not work like you thought it was, you get blowback. They're not going to stop trying it. They're going to increase their efforts to come with a nuclear weapon now, because now they feel threatened. And the rest of the world is looking and say, hey, man, they kind of got a right. They got an enemy next door to them who's nuclear capable, who just attacked them unprovoked. Nobody's looking, anybody that's looking at this, whether you understand how the streets work or anything about politics or anything, you got to look at this and say, wait a minute. Think about your family. If it was your family, somebody attacked your house for nothing. You don't know why they did it. You know they don't like you. You don't care for them. But they show up one day and not only do they attack your house, a few of your family members die. And then what, you fight back. And when you fight back, they cry out, and the rest of the world, they try to cry out to the rest of the world like they being taken advantage of. No, nobody told you. Who held a gun to your head and told you come do this? You did it because you wanted to, because you thought somebody was going to punk out. Turns out they didn't. Not only did they not punk out, now that you did this, I don't know what you might try next. Let me get myself protected. Only way I can guarantee my safety from you is to have the same capabilities as you. Nobody in the world can look at that and say it's wrong. Nobody.
The bomb because it has no reason to trust Israeli and American negotiators. Iran is now understandably convinced it needs nukes for its own survival and needs them now. You see, there was a good reason Genocide Joe gave Ukraine enough weapons to defend themselves against Russian invasion, but not enough weapons to ultimately win the war. And that's because Biden understood that if you push Putin or any nuclear-armed regime into a corner, with its very survival on the line, then it will not hesitate to use nukes as a weapon of last...
Didn't I just say that? Realist talk. That go for any people. Like I said, think if it was your house, your family, and you worried about somebody attacking you like that, you're going to have some kind of last resort weapon because they got that last resort, and they could try to wipe you out with that. You need something that could possibly do the same to them, just for your own survival. You gotta keep in mind, man, they've been getting attacked by the Western nations low-key for nothing for a while now. The United States armed Saddam Hussein to attack them. He used all them weapons that he did have, the poison gas and all that, he got it from the United States to use against Iran. Look this up. Don't get mad, get smart. Prove me wrong. That's how I get strong. Look this up. You understand? They got every right to be like, not only did you overthrow our government and place a dictator, a puppet dictator in position of power in our country, but there was a time where you attacked us, or you helped somebody attack us our own neighbors, our own brothers for nothing. And what happened in that war? The same thing that looks like it's going to happen here. These are the same people, keep in mind. You think that they done Americanized and they done liberalized enough people in Iran. No, man, these are the ancient Persians. Quit playing. That liberalized, Americanized, I guarantee you they're a minority. I don't care what the news is saying over here in the United States. That country, them people have been the same for hundreds of thousands of years. What happened when Iraq attacked Iran? It united the country. You had the average, everyday Iranian man, Persian man, signing up and joining the military. And everybody got involved with the war effort. Women, children, everybody. And Iraq wasn't able to defeat them. They did it like that before. Now you're going to attack them again. And if it wasn't a dissension, there are Iranians that want regime change. If it was any of that, you done neutralize that. I guarantee you probably still got a handful that still say, well, we need to work with America. If we would just Americanize, you might have a few that feel that way. But I think a lot of that liberal, we want to be more like the United States group, I think a lot of them then quietly went over to their people and said, nah, man, it's time to defend the homeland.
Last resort, or when it has nothing else to lose. Trump and Israel have forced Iran into that very bunker of that last resort by carpet bombing the Persian country and decapitating much of its top leadership. It's now rushing to build a self-defensive nuclear bomb in a scenario reminiscent of North Korea's defiance against the US. A renowned nuke weapons expert says Iran has retained 400 kilograms of weapons-grade uranium and has enough infrastructure to transform this into 9 bombs within a 5-month timeframe. And this doesn't take into account the real potential that Iran has successfully kept the location of other sites a secret.
The problem the United States and Israel have is Iran almost certainly has materials and equipment whose location we don't know about. So I've heard a lot this evening about the success of the attacks and how about the United States and Israel have destroyed facilities. But the problem that we now face is we haven't destroyed knowledge, we haven't destroyed materials, and we haven't destroyed equipment. And I don't think this attack has set Iran back nearly so far as some of the suggestions have indicated.
The Iranian regime, if it's smart, will continue to target Israel and prolong the conflict to drain the Israeli military, Israeli economy, and the will of the Israeli people. Tehran knows.
Yeah, man. You heard what the man said. They don't think it did nearly as much damage as they bragging about. And the land is vast. It's hard. I mean, you don't know. They got mountains and stuff everywhere. We have all kinds of technology where people, I mean, the United States got bases that are miles underground. You think they, come on, man. That's their land. You think they don't know their land? Let's just keep it 400. But yeah, something like that. And then in the meantime, in between time, like I said, America's army is stretched out very thin. Having trouble with recruitment in all branches. And then the military that is there, y'all got so much identity crisis going on. These other countries is looking at America's military and laughing. I mean, what y'all gonna do with them? Who they gonna fight? Your technology don't matter if you don't got the manpower. I'm just saying. Let's get to the next video because it's gonna deal with this. The heck? Okay. Yeah, it's one of those mention, do you really want to watch this? So let's take a look. Like I said, support the
Hello,
brother channel.
I'm CJ Werleman,
support
and in
the
this
brother
episode, we reveal how Israel's criminality has weakened and ruptured the US military and State Department to the point of threatening Israel's existence. But first, please remember to like and subscribe to our show. Now let's get into it. The United States carried out one of the greatest strategic blunders in modern history when it invaded and occupied Afghanistan and Iraq for 2 long decades. Because it not only drained America of its treasure and blood, but also ripped apart the fabric of American society. The architects of these wars believed that technological superiority made the US invincible, a self-belief that was shattered by the will and determination of Arab and Afghan locals who took up arms to resist their American occupiers.
That's my brother, the Grim Reaper. I forgot his real name. He got some videos, some interviews up with Vlad right now. He's talking about some deep stuff. But he talked about how they just was they was over there with just AKs and flip-flops, and America threw everything they had at them, and they just kept fighting them back. Flip-flops and AKs. Jesse Ventura said that the Viet Cong was just a bunch of farmers with AKs. I mean, AKs can show change up of battle, can't they?
Today, Israel is reliving this American experience. Its blowback has only just begun. For it too believed it could bomb its way to victory in dropping 100,000 tons of munitions on Gaza for the past 16 months. But only to watch Hamas emerge from the wreckage stronger than ever, with a new generation of Palestinians eager to replenish its future ranks. Israel not only failed to achieve its military objectives, but it now finds itself viewed as a terrorist state and international pariah by its closest allies, leading former Israeli generals to predict total collapse.
כשאת בוחנת הצלחה של מלחמה, את צריכה לבדוק אם השגת את המטרות שלה. עד רגע זה לא השגנו אפילו מטרה אחת. את החטופים לא שחררנו, זו הייתה מטרת מלחמה. את העקורים לא החזרנו לבתיהם, זו הייתה מטרת מלחמה. אבל נוספו כמה בעיות מאוד מרכזיות, שגם אותם אנחנו הולכים להפסיד כתוצאה מהדרך שניהלנו את המלחמה. הכלכלה של מדינת ישראל מתמוטטת לאורך השנה הזאת, ואם נמשיך אז זה תהיה קריסה מוחלטת. אנחנו מאבדים את החברה, יש תופעה מאוד קשה של מלחמת אחים כמעט, ימין, שמאל, דתיים וכו'. בתוך הבית אנחנו מתפוצצים, איבדנו את העולם, חרמות כלכליות, אמברגו נשק, מהידידות הכי טובות שלנו.
Israel's growing economic and political isolation is exacerbated by the growing popularity of the Palestinian resistance in the United States, a popularity that's not only enjoyed by a majority of the general public, but also a majority within the US Armed Forces and diplomatic corps. This is an existential threat to Israel, because the State Department drives US foreign policy, while the Department of Defense enforces these foreign policy objectives. Therefore, growing favoritism for Palestine among the ranks of both institutions is a doomsday scenario for the Zionist state, a scenario perfectly narrated by a 16-year veteran of the US Air Force, who resigned to protest his government's support for Israel.
I knew it was going to be really bad. The thing that just struck with me is like October 6th was really bad in Gaza. It's been an open-air prison for a long time, but I knew it was bad to begin with, right? And they were kind of at the total mercy of Israel. I think just the arrogance of the IDF, the people, they're posting this stuff, right? They're flaunting it, honestly. They don't care. It's just so...
They are taking selfies at the bomb sites. They're taking selfies at the bomb site. Just like they was taking pictures of themselves. You had some Israeli Mossad agents taking pictures of themselves when the planes was hitting the Twin Towers. They was celebrating it. They was on top of a van. A lady seen them and called the police and was like, y'all need to come check whoever these people are because we just got attacked. The minute the police called, pulled up on them, pulled them over, checked them all out. Turned out they was, they was Israeli, but it came to find out later they was Mossad. They was military. They was, Mossad is basically the CIA for Israel. You understand what I'm saying? But the question becomes, why were they celebrating the Twin Towers getting hit? Because the same thing you just seen in the last video, Netanyahu said Iraq gotta go. They knew that was going to be the false flag that was going to be able to give America the incentive that they need to invade somebody. They got to do something. Somebody got to pay for this. So you invade a country that had nothing to do with it. All the hijackers were Saudi Arabian. But you know, America ain't going nothing to Saudi Arabia.
Evil. Like Henry Rajab is like a really, my daughter's 5, so it's like, that's my daughter, you know? My son, he's nonverbal, has some other disabilities. The Mohammed, the boy who was killed to death by a dog, like, that's my son. I don't know if there's a way for America to come back from this in the sense of our reputation on the international stage. We've completely trashed these institutions like the International Criminal Court, the International Court of Justice, right? The UN, for the benefit of what, right? To protect someone like Netanyahu and what Israel's doing.
Today, these headlines are commonplace as one US Army and intelligence officer after another resigns over US support for Israel, with one former major saying, at some point, you're either advancing a policy that enables the mass starvation of children or you're not. I like to call this the Bushnell effect, in a crisis in 50 years, a crisis that has caused some...
We need veterans.
That's the one I want to get into, the decline of recruitment in the United States. There's a whole lot of podcasts that deal with, you know, issues between women and men and the gender battles and blah, blah, blah. But one of the things they like to bring up in conversation is the draft, because only men get drafted, and that's something that women don't have to worry about. When they talk about unfair laws, that's like a law that's unfair against men. It's like the argument that's being made. So they've been talking about changing that and saying, you know, we should draft women too. And then you got feminists that are all with that and for that. You got other women that's like, wait a minute, who said I want to go to war? You understand? But the thing about it is, when your country is picking on other nations, there's always a potential and a chance that you might have to step in and fight a war that you don't agree with at all. You understand? So, yeah, let's get off into it.
From California all the way to New York to stand against what we are witnessing right now. Your voice.
These resignations come at the same time the US military is experiencing its worst recruitment crisis in 50 years, a crisis that has caused some analysts to warn that it may need to bring back the draft to replenish the rank and file. Israel's genocidal campaign in Gaza has contributed to the army's recruitment crisis because young Americans not only overwhelmingly support Palestine, but also oppose the US war machine.
This has been one of the worst years for U.S. military recruiting since Vietnam. The U.S. Army faces a recruiting shortfall.
So every service really struggled this year in this fiscal year to meet their recruiting goal.
The U.S. State Department is
offering education and GI Bill for a home and all that, and just ain't hitting with the poor folk like it used to. Looks like poor folk are a little more happy with being poor now. Or maybe they're just looking at how veterans get treated, yo. Maybe they're just really looking and listening to how these veterans are speaking about how they get dealt with by the VA and things like that after coming back from war. As the son of a veteran, as the son of a Marine, man, the VA didn't do shit for my family. Didn't do nothing for us. My father was injured in Vietnam. We supposed to have been qualified for all kinds of benefits. And we weren't supposed to pay. We wasn't supposed to have to pay to go to college. And now one of his 6 children. You think the VA made sure that happened? Nope. How many homeless veterans do you got? You know, there was a big deal about veterans being homeless, but they was spending all this money making sure that migrants had somewhere to lay their head. That created blowback. You understand? He had blowback. It's a CIA term. It don't just apply to war and stuff like that. He flood the country with undocumented people, knowing it's not gonna be your problem. There's gonna be a blowback for that, and that's what happened. It was a blowback that helped get Trump elected. You understand? But yeah, man, we got craziness going on over there in the so-called Middle East wars and rumors of wars. It's always gonna be that way. But there's even more going on in Africa, Burkina Faso and Mali and all these countries that have been trying to rid themselves of colonialism. Those particular stories have fell on the back burner. And know this for sure, for certainly, there have been rebel armies that have been armed by, more than likely, the United States and other Western countries like France, to try to overthrow these different regimes that have taken power in their home countries and said, we don't need you here. We don't need the United States here. Matter of fact, we don't need nothing from you. Take your franc and everything that belongs to you and go back to your country. Get out of here. I'm just saying, we're doing it with a weird time where the people are, information is so abundant, like the scriptures. There's so much information out there where you can really pretty much study up on anything you want and learn the truth if you just got the time. And people don't like what they read, and people don't like what they're hearing, people don't like what they're seeing. And I mean, you can't be mad at anyone who's dealing with any of this kind of craziness for the simple reason why, man, wait a minute. Now it's like, what do y'all expect? I mean, it is what it is. I mean, what do y'all expect? But yeah, man, that's about as much as we're going to do on that segment of the show. But there is other things to discuss as far as I go for what's going on, man. And we know what's going on around here in this United States. We didn't talk about abroad. Let's talk about home, man. There's protests everywhere. It's not just about immigration no more. Now it's about the war. Ain't no guarantee that there's a war. Ain't nothing really popped off yet. But people are not stupid. My thing is, the Iranian people, they come off as being overly patient, man, to all the stuff that they done been on the receiving end. I would have been trying to attack the United States in some kind of way if it was me. Y'all gonna leave us the fuck alone, man. You know what I'm saying? We over here, it ain't even bothering y'all. Whatever's going on in our country, however we even feel about y'all as a nation, is not having a negative effect on your people, your economy, your foreign policy, nothing. You know, so they can't do sanctions against the United States. You understand? Nothing that they do as a nation could have a tremendous negative effect on Americans. Americans, only thing that can have tremendous effect on Americans is their government. So anything Americans is suffering from, blame your government. You understand? These are the people that you chose to be your leaders, and they go do things in your name. Then you go to other countries and get kidnapped, and you wonder why. Yeah, we need a ransom for you, or we're going to chop your head off on television in front of the whole world. Why? Because you're an American. I know they rarely do that with black folks. You know, I guess they realize, you know, America don't care about y'all. We wasting our time, you know, decapitating one of y'all. They not gonna care. We can say what they want, man, but they low key got a point. It is what it is. But like I was saying, we do got some other information to go over. You know, why not? Let's have some fun, right? Let's get jiggy with it. Man, y'all heard Will Smith's new song? Oh boy, what's his name? Mike Walsh, whatever. Called it the gayest song he ever heard. It sounds like a regular Will Smith song to me, so I don't know. But yeah, man, I ain't gonna get off into Will too much. I ain't gonna get off into Tyler. I ain't gonna get off into Tyler Gary. Because anybody that didn't know what's up with him, you blind. Shit, man. No surprise there. No information there. Oh, yeah. Let's watch this video. This one should be fun. This one should be fun. Pause. Gotta be honest. When I seen this video, it made me a little angry when I heard the guy talking, because hey man, I done been on the job and I done seen some weirdo stuff too, so I was like, dang man, so I wasn't tripping. Like, nah, you wasn't tripping. It was really like that. Boom. Let's check him out.
Because white Americans have been living with African Americans even from the day when our ancestors came from Africa as enslaved people.
Keep in mind, this brother, you can hear the accent. He is African, from Africa, immigrant.
White Americans will work with African Americans who want to work. Latinos will not work with African Americans who want to work. There's a difference. There's a difference. White Americans will work with African Americans who wants to work. But Latinos will not work with African Americans who want to work. Latinos only work with Latino. So if you ask me, I can tell you that from my own personal self, that Latinos are more discriminatory and racist towards African Americans than either.
So with this King's protest that they had all over the country, it was a big flop because nobody's talking about it. You had all kinds of immigrants asking, where's the African Americans? Where's the Black Americans? Why aren't they on the front line?
Where indeed? Where indeed are the African Americans?
Out here with us. Why aren't they out speaking with us, right? And you had a lot of Latinos getting online now, calling out their own community, holding their own community accountable for their anti-Black racism, right? Now, you know, a lot of Dominicans say, I know Black, and they try to say that they know that they got African in their bloodline, and America, Black Americans, we just in love with race, but we know that they hate that African bloodline, that African Blackness. They'll tell you. I mean, you know, there's a lot of racist things that they do, a lot of racist things that they say. They big on complexion, your hair, all kinds of different things, man. They have a lot of anti-Black sentiments, right? So a lot of them is going online now because ICE is kicking a lot of them out of the country, right? And they're calling on the Black community, and now they're doing what we've been asking them to do forever. They're calling out their racist family members. They're calling out the people that say a lot of racist things towards Black people. I've noticed, like, man, all around the world, different groups, like, we don't have no friends, man. I mean, everybody.
You dumb son of a bitch! No!
I didn't mean that for him, man. That was a slip of the finger. No, real talk. In the words of the late, great Dr. John Henry Clark, he told us, if you're looking for a friend, I suggest that you look in that mirror. And if nothing is friendly in the mirror, you have no friends. We are the most hated people in the world, bar none. Nobody will ever take that title from us. Every nation in the world got an issue with so-called Black Americans. Every nation in the world show up over here, immigrate over here, and call themselves thinking they better than us, looking down on us, taking advantage of rights that we fought and died for, bled for. You know, they're going through all these beautiful cities and towns that we built and got ours burned to the ground and flooded and turned into lakes. Y'all don't know our history. Shut up. Everything our people did to try to give ourselves some kind of economic foundation that could be transgenerational was destroyed by this country. They dropped bombs on Iran. They dropped bombs on us right here. What? Yeah, you better wise up, man. I better read a book.
I got something smart to say about us, but everybody want to draw from our culture, then had the audacity to tell us that we don't have a culture. But this is what the Latinos are now saying about their community.
Coming from a Mexican and Filipino background, I feel like I've witnessed and heard many microaggressions and racial comments come from family members and even friends. And while most of the time this comes from a lack of education and not actually from hate, it's so important now more than ever to combat racism in your homes. So here are 3 ways that you can combat anti-Black racism and really support the Black Lives Matter movement in your Latino household today. Number 1, we need to call out the anti-Black racism and microaggressions for what they are immediately. One thing that is so common in our communities is colorism, and this can look like a family member complimenting the new baby in your family and talking about how she has such beautiful complexion and her eyes are so beautiful because they're blue. Things like that are extremely detrimental and perpetuate racism because said family member is basically saying that darker skinned babies are not cute and less desirable. Separating this into
Advanced raza. Advanced raza. You can't sleep with nobody darker than you. Good old, what was my man's name? Mr. Ibarra, the Watts Latino organization. Peace be upon him. He was a good dude. He was a darker primo, and I remember me and him walking through my community talking about this old building we was trying to take over to create a rec center, community center for my neighborhood. And we was walking around, we was looking at him, just talking to them. I was talking to them about, these documentaries, Black Grandmama in the Closet, the history of the hidden history of blacks in Latin America. And he knew about it, and he was saying that when he was growing up, he was like the darker kid. And in most Mexican families, or most Latino families, there's one of the relatives that usually is pretty darker than the others, and how they're pretty made fun of and treated pretty bad, man. So it's sad when white supremacy is so potent that even the most proud of people, or once upon a time the most proud to be brown people, just ain't that proud of being brown no more.
3 videos so that I don't run out of time, but part 2 and part 3 should already be up on.
Okay, so I made a video on how the Latin community doesn't support the Afro-Latino community, and Latinos are really actually pretty racist toward black people and Afro-Latinos. I was getting ate up by the Mexicans. They were like, well, nobody asked for the black people, the black community's help. We don't want your help. First, I'm Latina, but I'm Afro-Latina, and I identify as black, but whatever. Why they come back? One of them talking about, oh, thank you to the black people who helped at the protest, but not you Uncle Toms.
You dumb son of a bitch!
Bruh, you're still being...
Wait a minute. They Uncle Toms? They Uncle Toms for not coming out? What part of it? I mean, this has got to be, I know they can't be talking about LA. Do you know what's been going on between black and brown relations for the last 30 years? Do you know about the wars in the streets? The communities where they say black people can't live? You understand? I mean, you don't got black neighborhoods where they say Latinos can't live. It doesn't exist in LA. There's no such thing. But you literally got neighborhoods where they say black people can't live there. The Latinos don't want you there. You can't live there. This, that, and other. And nobody don't want to talk about this stuff. You go to community meetings and stuff, and all you hear is black folks talking about how we need to support the Latinos and do what we can to like give them the heads up on ICE and stuff like that. You know, especially in the Watts area, man. You know what I'm saying? But the thing is, Watts is different. You know, we always had Latinos in our community. We always had real strong relationships with them. We always had good relationships. They're not like they used to be, but you know, it's kind of like they're being in that county jail. When them numbers get different, all of a sudden conversations get shut down. Ain't so friendly no more. Phones get cut off, man, it really get funny. You understand? But see, you don't control that environment. You can't control the numbers. You can't control access to the phones. You don't control America. You don't control it. You don't have no control over the access to anything. Somebody else has that. And you know what? That person would much rather see y'all at each other's throats. You know what I mean?
Racist. It don't make sense. That was just the whole point I was making, is that you do have the communities, like the black community support. Y'all are still racist though. That's what I was trying to say.
This is very true. Like I said in my other video, our leaders say black and brown. We always speak up on y'all behalf. Whenever we talk about ourselves, we throw y'all in there. You understand? Because we know, hey, y'all don't get treated the best either. Y'all done been gunned down by police too. Y'all suffer from gang violence too. Y'all suffer from mass incarceration too. Y'all suffer from economic oppression too. You know what I mean? Not on the same level. You know what I mean? You know, y'all have, like I said, y'all got an embassy. Y'all can always go to your embassy and complain about anything you feel is not being, you know, this government or your state or your whatever local officials not treating you right. Go to your embassy. They got to do something about it. We don't got that. So there's that. You know what I mean? But we do realize, like you need to realize that we swim with the same sharks, and they want us. They don't care who they rip apart. Wake up, man.
And this thing has gotten so crazy that you even got some Mexicans and Hondurans talking about our reparations claim and saying that we shouldn't get reparations, that indigenous people and the Mexican community should get the reparations before us. He was saying that they this one guy was saying that they're gonna go out in droves, and they're gonna go out in droves, and they're gonna campaign, and they're gonna march that so that we don't give reparations. I don't understand, like, why would you guys have to mention us and try to bring a halt to our reparations claim when y'all just go do y'all. Y'all got large numbers in this country. Y'all got grievances against the United States and a whole bunch of different things. Why even mention us? Because you have you deal with anti-black racism. That's what you guys deal with. Then you had another woman that was, that's a politician that's in office. They was also drafting bills and drawing up things, speaking on the floor in California about not paying blacks reparations. They were speaking out against reparations. So Tariq Nasheed, he got wind of this, and he's been calling out these tethers. And
old General Tariq.
let me say this just right. A tether is nothing but just like a black American Sam or a coon, a sellout. Those that speak out against the group. So when we talk about the immigrants, and they call them tethers, every immigrant ain't a tether. No, there's a lot of immigrants that's 10 toes down, right? That's black first, that I salute them, right? So everybody that comes from the Caribbean or Africa is not a tether. A tether is the same as a black American sellout. That's all it is.
Got to keep it 100 though. Seems like the people that they let migrate here from these other countries only be the tethers. The ones that come over here and see us as family, it seems like it's real hard for them to get a visa. It's real hard for them to get the opportunity to come here. I don't know what kind of screening they do to people from West Africa, Igbo, Ashanti, Hassa, any of these tribes, man. I don't know what they put them through to screen them, to see what kind of mind state they got. But it seems like the only immigrants they let come over here is the ones that are completely on that Akata shit, on that Yank shit, you know what I'm saying? And that's sad, but those are the ones that we talking about when we say the tears. Because our brothers is our brothers if you are brothers. The thing about it is, you a fool if you let the politics of your enemy determine who your family is. Just stupid.
Right? What they would call, y'all know what those words is. But let's look at what Tariq Nasheed had to say. Check this out.
Yeah, we started realizing, hey, a lot of this stuff, this weirdo stuff, ain't coming from our culture. Yeah? Come on, man. Let me play some more of the receipts showing why we're sitting this thing out with these people. Let me show some more clips of why we're sitting there. This woman right here, Kate Sanchez, assemblywoman, opposing.
Remember that name, ladies and gentlemen, y'all in LA, Kate Sanchez. Remember that name. Straight up Mexico.
Reparations. Now, it comes from the bottom to the top. This is why we sitting it out. When we fight for black and brown unity, this is what we get right here.
Anonymous consultants from the task force reported the total amount could be as much as $800 billion. $800 billion. That's 2.5 times the size of our entire state budget. To pay for that, you'd need a major tax hike, unlike anything this state has ever seen before. I recognize and acknowledge the painful part of our history. The pains of our past should not be paid by the people of today. The majority of our state is Latino and Asian, making up 55% of our population. Most of them, like me, are first, second, or third generation immigrants who had nothing to do with slavery, discrimination, Jim Crow laws. Nothing.
Bitch, it ain't about you. It ain't about you and your motherfucking generation. It's got nothing to do with your people at all. This is about the government of the country you live in, the government of the state that you live in. They are responsible. The government ain't changed. Even though the people we're third and fourth generation, even though you carry the blood of your ancestors and walk around in a position of privilege off of the abuse and the rape, the great rob and murder of the. Let me get off into my commerce state. Look, sister. Why don't you just sit this one out? It ain't got nothing to do with you. If America can give billions of dollars to Ukraine, and you don't get me twisted, the state of mind that most of my people are in, I don't know about just handing us over reparations. I agree with my beloved brother, peace be upon him. Twilight said, Fuck the money. Give us 500 years of no taxes, 500 years of free education, 500 years of access to real land, and 500 years of access to cultural re-identification. 500 years. That means several generations. Yeah. Give us sovereignty, like the Native Americans who also did not ask to be part of this country. That's why they're sovereign, because they made that point clear when Congress decided to vote to decide whether they would be accepted or the tribes should be accepted as citizens of the United States. Can you believe the caucasity? On some real shit. Hold up. You gonna vote to say whether I should be allowed to be a citizen in the land that you stole from me? These people are crazy, man. But same thing with black folks. We never asked to be a part of this. We were forced to be a part of this. This government, this country was forced on us as sovereign people. We should be in the same position as them.
Nothing. It is fundamentally unfair to force these people to pay for this, and because of that, I will be opposing. Economists.
And you wonder why we sitting it out? Black folks, not only should you sit your ass down, kick your legs up and get comfortable while you're sitting down with these protests. You better not be nowhere near one of these damn protests. I wish I would be caught out here. This is what they would tell us after we fought to bring folks over here, lending our civil rights gains and moral capital and political capital. This is what we get, ladies and gentlemen. From the political structure, from the corporate structure, even from the street level. Hold on. Hold on one second. Hold on. We got a lot of receipts. There's a brother right here called Forgotten Latino History. He has a whole bunch of receipts. Let me play this one here. He pulled up an article about the Puerto Ricans, like their problems confused with those of the Negro. We're talking about how Puerto Ricans, they didn't want their problems tied in with our problems. So yeah, hold on. It wasn't no big old melting pot. Hold on. One of the complaints is, unlike the Negro, they've never been militantly concerned over issues of integration, segregation, right? Why boycott? Compelled because they never had been referred to a minority before. Unlike the Negro, the Puerto Rican is not a race. Okay, so yeah, hold on. Because this brother has a whole bunch of receipts. Hold on. Hold on, I'm trying to find that one with American Cholo too. Hold on. Now remember, this is our good old buddy.
Listen to what the fuck finna come out this dude's mouth, dude. Thing about it is, he not speaking for himself. It's many of his people that feel the same way that he do. And it's sad, dude, because man, we everybody we feel like got wrong and deserve something for it, we agree that you're supposed to get what you deserve for what was done to you. We don't get that same love back, though.
American Cholo, and I done checked this guy for years, the anti-black racist American Cholo. Now, this is him and his Hispanic buddies talking about reparations. All right, this is them talking about reparations. So from the top to the bottom, all of them, this is how they feel. They've been doing this for years.
Over equality. When you turn to those young raza or raza who want to believe that, you better turn your TV, brother. You better turn your radio back.
What do you think about these Black Lives Matter that they want to be paid for being slaves and all that?
Oh yeah, you're talking about well, I heard they passed in North Carolina.
Yeah.
It was a small little town in North Carolina that passed reparations for workers over there. I'm sure they'll try to do something out here in California. I think they already actually got a little board going that they're going to start looking into it. So
yeah, and that's what we, the Raza, need to step up, protest, and I'm talking major.
Do you hear? They need to protest us getting reparations. The raza needs to step up and protest black people getting reparations.
You dumb son of a bitch! No!
Turn around and tell them, no, nobody gave reparations until the Native Americans and the Mexicans get ours first.
What? What?
You dumb son of a bitch! No!
You supposed to get reparations from Spain, which you already got paid. Mexico got paid.
We've been going through this crap a lot longer, so I don't want to hear it. Because it's not fair, dog.
You dumb son of a bitch!
Did you hear the shit this motherfucker just said? We've been going through this a lot longer, huh? You don't know your fucking history. You don't know nothing. You ain't read nothing. Every bit of information in your head is indoctrination from this nation. You must don't have no education about the history of... What did the brother just say? Spain did... Why you think you speak Spanish, motherfucker? You don't get the hell out of here. It's not over, y'all. Keep listening.
How are you going to give a bunch of money to a specific group, John? This is the United States, a melting pot. How are you going to give it to a specific group?
Because right now they've got the white people with so much guilt. It was your.
Okay. All right. You see what I'm saying? And you wonder why black people are sitting it the hell out. You wonder why black people are sitting it out.
But the Latinos wasn't finished. And like I said, this is my third installment. This is my part 3. Because they've been online on Twitter. They've been on TikTok. Well, X is no formerly Twitter, but they've been on X. And they've been calling their community out. Especially a lot of the Afro-Latinos are starting to really speak up and speak out. Everybody's starting to speak up and speak out about...
It's no other race. However,
my Latina sister.
And racism. Do we have colorism in the or marginalized in those communities? And blackness is looked at as something that's low standard, right? If y'all don't
against Latino, I don't have a problem against no other race. However, we're going to have to politely decline because in real life, y'all don't stand with us.
This video has nothing to do with this creator. I completely understand where she's coming from, and this is why I wanted to talk to my Latina sisters about the internalized racism within the Latino community that we know exists. I have personally lived it. My own family called me the N-word and gave me black dolls for Christmas as jokes.
Did you hear that shit? My primo, Ibarra, he told me that. He said, man, hey, you a little dark, you Latino family, you don't get treated as nicely as the other kids. He said they used to give her black dolls. Man, God gonna deal with y'all for that.
Through my growing up years, because of the darkness of my skin, I had to endure very hurtful jokes throughout my life as a kid because I was so dark. And I have seen repeatedly the internalized racism within the Latino community, and I have called it out many times. This is why I wanted to talk about it with you, because this lady is right. We do not stand with the black community or black women in real life, but we reap a lot of benefits of their work, their hard work. Now, I'm not taking away from Latinos and the hard work we have done, but this internalized racism, where many Latinos think they are white and align with white people, probably because we have to check the white box under the race category when we fill out paperwork. I'm not sure, but this internalized...
Now, y'all don't have to do that. It definitely has Latino on there. It definitely has Mexican or Latino, Spanish speaking. All that be on the applications, man. Y'all doing that for y'all. Like they can't see that you have a Spanish name. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? But I guess you got European Spanish people as well, and other people around the world speak Spanish. The thing about it is this, though, you don't have to check that Blanco. Y'all do that for y'all know why y'all doing that.
Racism within our group is normal. It's been normalized, and we need to look at ourselves in the mirror with regard to this. I've had to deal with a lot of generational trauma because of it. And I sincerely believe I'm not the only one. I read a couple of comments from fellow Latinas today who said they are similar stories to mine. So I'm calling on you ladies today to step back and listen to what this lady said, and really look inside and understand what she is saying, because it means something. Some of us may identify with the white folk, but at the end of the day, we are not white. And
they don't identify with you. You're like a workhorse or a donkey or something. You're something that could be utilized and harnessed. If they can't utilize and harness you, they got a problem with you. Kind of like black people, you know what I'm saying? But they more so, want to, they feel like, they can use you guys. Y'all definitely take more crap than a black person would, or whatever the hell. Thing about it is, no, you are a tool.
We will never be white. Let us deconstruct from this internal racism that has been normalized within our group and join forces with those who have been marginalized and oppressed just as we have. We will be better for it.
I'm doing a Dear Black People series from a Latino because there's a lot of quiet stuff that needs to be said out loud about Latinos concerning blackness. So I'm gonna break this up into different little parts, just to keep it short. But the most important thing that I need black people to understand is that the level of retardation that Latinos have going on in their own community definitely outmatches yours in the way that, yes, Latino culture is racist by nature. And so it's not just a racism thing against you, it's a racism against ourselves. And we do ourselves worse than we do y'all. It's like this. I want you to imagine that in your community, light skins actually made an actual effort to keep dark skins down on purpose.
So I'll say this to the black community. In black communities across America, we have to do a better job of owning the properties in the communities that we live in and controlling the politics in our communities. I live here in Philadelphia, and the whole south side of South Philly now is all Mexican. And when they coming over here, they're not coming over here broke. Man, they coming over here with that cartel money. They opening up big-ass restaurants all throughout the south side of South Philly, from about 14th Street on down to 2nd Street in South Philly. That's all Mexican now. And that's been like that in 5 years. That's all Mexicans. So what is Philadelphia going to look like in the next 10 years if black people don't get their stuff together? So while we going out right now saying, well, we're going to sit this one out, okay, cool. We're going to sit this one out, but what we're going to do for ourselves while we sitting this one out? Because this other group, they come in here, they buying up everything, and they getting themselves together. They getting their numbers up, and they getting themselves together politically strong as a national voting block and a local voting block. So we got.
This is very true. And the Democratic Party figure that they can replace the black vote with the new Latino vote that they are, that they were so eager to let flood into the nation. I think that was all about. It's about the fact that, too many black folks is waking up to the fact that the Democrats is full of shit, and the liberals don't give a damn about black people, and ain't nothing changed at all the whole time black people have been voting Democrat. And the Democrats are actually the party of the Confederacy. The Democrats are actually the party that wanted to keep us enslaved. The Democrats are the party that fought against Lyndon Baines Johnson. You understand? Most of the things that we benefited from in this country, we benefited from because, wrong thing with Lyndon Baines. Lyndon Baines was the dude who got black folks to give up their vote to the Democratic Party just because he handed out some tokens. Oppression make a wise man mad, and a gift destroyeth the heart. You pissed off at the messed up stuff that's happening until they hand you a Juneteenth. So you're just not that mad no more. The brothers wasn't mad anymore. On the real talk, man. And that's just like we got to stop doing that. You understand? We take these consolidations and we got like we done made it somewhere. They got Jackie Robinson. He's playing in the NBA. He's playing in the National Baseball League now. So, Did that replace Tulsa? Did that replace Rosewood? When we took Delaware, Charlotte, North Carolina, all the places that we once had as homes that we were building up and making into something? Nope. So yeah, man. You know, we don't want to get, we don't want to go for the okey doke. You know, fuck a gift. You know what I'm saying? But I love my Latino brothers, my primos. I'ma always love y'all, man. But hey, I need y'all to realize that y'all been hoodwinked, bamboozled, and ran amok and run astray just like we had. Just like Malcolm said, man. Same thing happened to y'all. Y'all thinking that it's sad because y'all have countries that you can go to that are pretty much controlled by American puppets. They got a place down south called the University of the Americas, where dictators for Central and South America are trained by the CIA to go back to their countries and take over their countries, and then they'll be the ones in charge of running things and pretty much help the United States suppress and oppress the native people from those lands. I mean, El Salvador has a Arab president right now. Mexico has a Jewish lady as a president. You understand? These are not indigenous people from the land. You understand? But it ain't just there. You know, Honduras, Chile, all these places, if you do your research, you'll find out that the CIA have done coups in most of these Latin nations to make sure whoever was running things was completely loyal to the interests of the United States. If it had been meant murdering. What was it, Domesday down in Chile? You know, same thing with Zaire, Mobutu killing Patrice Lumumba. You know what I'm saying? He decided to make a deal with the Belgians in the United States, you know what I'm saying, to take over his country and ran his country into the ground. You know what I mean? It's hey, man, our people are really messed up. It's the things that we'll do for a few little dollars, man. 30 pieces of silver, man. He sold out the greatest man that ever lived. So I guess we can't assume that we'll get treated any different, right? But hey, man, just saying, we gotta wise up. None of this is working. Gotta figure out a different way. As far as I go for black and brown, man. Hey. Like I said, it's been on the other side of the 92 riots was a time of atonement between Bloods and Crips, and everybody came together and tried to figure out a way to, you know, get rid of the beef and not beef no more. That was the silver lining on the other side. What's gonna be on the other side of y'all unrest that y'all got going on right now? Because there needs to be an atonement between black and brown, and we need to try to start all over or something, bro. But damn, it's been so much nasty stuff. You know what that dude say? No, my daughter may never bring no black guy home. That's disrespectful. They really feel like that. A lot of them do. You know what I mean? Sad but true. We don't treat people like that, man. We always got our arms open, our doors open. Our daughter brings home a Mexican boyfriend. Okay, whatever. Our son got a Mexican girlfriend. Okay, whatever. You know what I'm saying? That's how we get out. But yo, you know, teach his own, I guess, you know, do unto others, right? Do unto others, right? We the only ones that live by that, right? But hey, man, had fun, man. It's been a good evening, man. We got off into a few things. I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in to the Shizo to go over what's going on. Just talking about what's going on. You got your boy, the Bam Bam Belly Yon, representing Eastside Watts, 10 foes, 10 toes, man. We going to keep coming back here to talk about what's going on, whatever it is. And yo, man, the phone line gonna be going up soon. We trying to get our subscribers up, man. Subscribe to the channel, smash up the likes, You understand? We're gonna have that number coming in soon, so people can be able to call in. We got some other shows we putting together for us to go for my mama's back porch. That's still coming. We're going to be doing interviews with the local brothers and organizations throughout Watts that's doing the work. You know what I mean? We got one coming up next week. I don't want to say no names and do a surprise. But yeah, man, we're getting off into that too, you know, to just, you know, keep the information flowing, you know, and keep it going because, you know, it might be Watts, but we still, you know, we give a damn, you know what I mean? We give a damn. We'd be surprised how many people from Watts is up on politics and up on the world stage and what's going on in the world. It'll blow your mind. Just keeping it 400. But hey, until tomorrow, man, same bad time, same bad channel, something like that. Yo, tomorrow we'll be talking about what's going on and no telling what it's going to be. Depends on what we see. And we'll go from there, man. Shouts out to all the homies, you know what I'm saying? Eastside R's, 10 foes. Love all of y'all, man. Shouts out to all the affiliates, man. No matter where y'all come from, man. The Hub and the Dub in particular, man. Compton and Watts, love all of y'all, man. And the Linwood is all good, too. Y'all know the Lynn Watts is over there. We love y'all, too. You know what I'm saying?